Hi, welcome back. And now joining us from Canberra is the Australian Christian Lobby's Martin Iles. How are you, Martin?
Really well, thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Now, Martin, this is our last In Focus for the year. It's been a big year in politics, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, it has, Kent. I mean, I'm not quite sure where to start if I want to get a summary of issues going. But I think, honestly, the biggest achievement this year, one of the biggest achievements this year, certainly got to be refugees. We saw the 12,500 special intake announced, and importantly, geared towards those most in need. So Christians, Yazidis, Mandaeans, those categories, and also from within those groups, women and children, and the government's doing a really good job of implementing that. They've also announced that the standard intake will go up from 13,750 to 18,750 by the 2018-19 budget year. So I think the refugee issue has been a really constructive thing, with the strong border control policies actually backed up and complemented by strong humanitarian policies, and ACL is going to continue to lobby for that and continue to lobby for that intake number to go up. Of course, the other big one has been Tony Abbott's loss of the leadership, and also the locking in of the marriage plebiscite, so a real circuit breaker on the marriage issue, which has been an issue of political lobbyists for a long time. There's been nearly 20 attempts to legislate that in the federal parliament, and finally something to break the circuit, to get the people to vote on it and finally have a say, so that's very exciting too.
Yeah, well, obviously that is going to be one of the major issues going forward, and I guess similarly with the refugee issue, right now we're seeing a lot of angst, between faiths about Islam, in particular in this country. It doesn't look like that's going to be going away in the future, next year, for example.
No, well, I think both of those will be big issues going into the future. Certainly the Islam issue, the ISIL issue, the needs of persecuted minorities and refugees around the world, and of course we've got marriage plebiscite coming up as well, and everyone's going to be preparing for that and thinking about it. I mean, one of the effects of that, of course, is that there's a bit of a pause and sort of some debate on the issue, and finally seeing some discussion of the fact that it isn't a consequenceless change. But the other big thing going forward is probably freedom in general. We've really noticed a big uptick in the number of legal cases against people exercising free speech, freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, belief, all of those categories of things in the law courts, and also in legislation, with some legislation removing religious exemptions like the Victorian adoption, same-sex adoption legislation. So that's a really big issue going forward as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Hey, thanks so much. We really appreciate the contribution that you and your team have made this year, Martin. All the best. You have a blessed Christmas and a really happy New Year.
Yeah, look, same to you, Kent, and all your viewers. It's been really great. Really appreciate the time we've had on air together, and keep up the good work.
Thanks a lot.